But imagine as this flood starts, where all the people that mocked, that are getting ready to die, that made fun of Noah, where do you reckon they're going as soon as they're ankle deep? I reckon they're right on the other side of the ark, and I bet you get to listen to their screams while they die.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's kind of rough.
It is
That's
rough.
a rough way to start a real rough ride that Noah and the animals are about to be on.
Man,
Like,
I
just
know.
imagine the chaos taking place outside of the ark. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Be
Because
awful.
the ark's their only shot. Now, maybe it all happened so fast. We've seen even the past year or two, we watched that, was it Hurricane Helene in North Carolina? But we've just seen what flash floods get in, just
Right.
how fast a ton of water can just wipe out everything. So maybe they didn't have that much time, but I got a feeling a few of them must have made it over. You know what I mean? So
Yes. I can't imagine a few nearby neighbors didn't come and bang on the hull of the ark,
yeah, and then
hoping they'd have a chance to get
imagine
in.
that as you're rising. Welcome, everyone, to Beers with Jesus, Todd's World. Carrie's with me. How's it going, Carrie?
Fabulous. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Thanks for joining us today, guys. We missed last week.
Oh, yeah. Sorry
Without
about that.
telling you, sometimes life gets in the way, and last week was one. So
Yep. We did our
best.
best.
Life just happens. So, but a quick programming note, and we didn't say this, we do the Wildly Opinionated News Hour too. That's on Tuesdays. So you can check that out before this, or not before, but after you're done with this. After you're done with this week's beers, or more beers. We have so many, and they're evergreen. They never go out of style.
True. The Bible's been around for a while.
A little bit. So anyway, not the message though. That's what we read. So
Oh, gotcha.
it's only been perfected in the last 20 years.
Really? Is it that
Just
new?
kidding.
I'm like, is it that? I didn't even know.
So anyway, guys, but next week, just so you know, there's not gonna be any podcast at all. Got my last seniors open house, and it's gonna be a crazy busy kind of weekend for me. So look for us to get back at it after that.
Yeah.
So and we're in the flood this week, Carrie.
Oh my gosh.
Look at us go, Noah. It's gonna be rocking and rolling
It's like
on the
happening here.
pontoon.
It's happening here. We're
Oh, are
gonna
you getting some lightning, some storms down in Florida
Yes,
today?
it's pretty wild today. Yeah.
So it'll be apropos to
It's
you.
apropos.
It's sunny
Feeling-
here in Michigan, but
Feeling very much like Noah's wife today. I had to run it.
so this week we're in what we do here on Beers with Jesus. We just kind of go through the stories of the Bible, Carrie and I, and we just offer just probably the most profound takes on it that you've ever heard.
The most humbly profound takes.
Right, Carrie? It's all because of Carrie. So
Yeah, it's really not. I
But
love
we
it though.
do
I
the-
learn something every week, so thank you
I
for
love
joining.
it too. So we focus
Mhm.
on the stories, and right now we went all the way through Mark, we went all the way through Acts. Right now we're in Genesis, which I think is fabulous.
Mhm.
So this week we're in the flood, Genesis 7. We started Noah last week, and we talked about the faith it took to build the ark,
Yeah.
and to do that kind of 100-year journey, and then now it's we get to see it. The faith is about to become sight for Noah. So, Carrie, you're reading this week. We read
Okay.
from the Message, just because the Message is the best. So, do with that what you want. If I were you, I'd go buy a Message.
My message, the large print, I recommend.
I love the narrative style of the Message. So,
I
all
like
right,
it.
Carrie, you going
All
to
right.
read for us this week, Genesis 7?
Ready. Genesis 7. Next, God said to Noah, "Now board the ship, you and all your family. Out of everyone in this generation, you're the righteous one. Take on board with you 7 pairs of every clean animal, a male and a female, 1 pair of every unclean animal, a male and a female, and 7 pairs of every kind of bird, a male and a female, to ensure their survival on earth. In just 7 days, I will pour rain on earth in for 40 days and 40 nights. I'll make a clean sweep of everything that I've made. Noah did everything God commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters covered the earth. Noah and his wife and sons and their wives boarded the ship to escape the flood. Clean and unclean animals, birds, and all the crawling creatures came in pairs to Noah and to the ship, male and female, just as God had commanded Noah. In 7 days, the flood waters came. It was the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, that it happened. All the underground springs erupted, and all the windows of heaven were thrown open. Rain poured for 40 days and 40 nights. That's the day Noah and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, accompanied by his wife and his sons' wives, boarded the ship, and with them every kind of wild and domestic animal, right down to all the kinds of creatures that crawl and all kinds of birds and anything that flies. They came to Noah and to the ship in pairs. Everything and anything that had the breath of life in it, male and female, of every creature came just as God commanded Noah. Then God shut the door behind him. The flood continued 40 days, and the waters rose and lifted the ship high over the earth. The waters kept rising, the flood deepened on the earth, and the ship floated on the surface. The flood got worse until all the highest mountains were covered. The high water mark reached 20 feet above the crest of the mountains. Everything died. Anything that moved, dead. Birds, farm animals, wild animals, the entire teeming exuberance of life, dead. And all people, dead. Every living, breathing creature that lived on dry land died. He wiped out the whole works, people and animals, crawling creatures, and flying birds, every last one of them gone. Only Noah and his company on the ship lived. The floodwaters took over for 150 days.
Wow.
Wow.
It's all gone. Everything, the last, I don't know, 6, 7 weeks, however long we've been at Genesis,
Right?
everything
Thank you
that
for
God
saying that.
made, everything he created, he just wiped out.
Thank you for
Well,
saying that.
except for,
Mhm.
and again, guys, we here at Todd's World at Beers with Jesus, for the most
Mhm.
part, we take the stories of the Bible for how they're told. So
Mhm.
in other words, we're not going to get into the scientific debates behind, well, was it actually a flood that covered the earth, or was it a
Right.
local flood, or was it this, or
Mhm.
was it that? It's told at least like it was a flood that covered the entire world that wiped everything out. I mean
Mhm.
in pretty direct terms.
Right.
That's what it says. If it was only a local flood and it was all the known world at the time, there's a couple questions that would arise. For one thing, if given 100-year head start,
Mhm.
Noah and his family wouldn't have to build an ark to survive a localized flood. I mean, they could just leave. They could move. They
True.
could, they could go as far as they needed. God told them to go until they were safe, right?
There would be
And the
theoretically
same would be true for all the animals.
animals, yeah, animals in other parts of the world,
I
so.
mean, you've seen, I'm sure everybody's seen those videos where, for whatever reason,
Mhm.
herds of animals seem to know storms are coming before they ever, and people start to get freaked out because there'll be
Right.
all these people, all these animals moving in one direction away from something. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
not hard to imagine that God could have worked through animal instinct and intuition, or whatever, and you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so if you didn't have an actual worldwide flood, those are some questions that would then need to be answered.
Right.
Why the ark? Why the, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
What's the
Right.
point? So for our standpoint, we're going to treat it like the story as it's written is true. That's what we do.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
and we try to stay consistent with that. So, um the based on that, God just wiped everything out because it got so bad, I guess, is what he says, right?
Right. If you're just joining us for the last couple of shows, we've talked about how bad it had gotten. So I'm glad you referred to everything we've just read so far in Genesis because it's this story kind of stands by itself in my upbringing, and I think for a lot of people it does. Like even people who weren't super active in a church growing up. They just
Hmm.
know the story of
Everybody
Noah's
knows this
Ark.
one. Yeah.
Right. But to put it in the context that you just did, it just reminds you that this is everything God created. It's everything he loves and how difficult that must be. I'm picturing him kind of like someone writing, like just crumpling up everything he's written and just tossing
Yeah.
it. And how frustrating that is, how sad it is, especially if it's
Well, yeah, you get a whole
something
world.
that
It'd be like
Mhm.
me, guys. If you haven't been, go to toddsworld.net.
Mhm.
We've got a couple different book series there. I've got my memoir. Of course, the links to all the podcasts, and follow and subscribe if you haven't. But I have written. I've got two different series going. One is called Insurrection. One's called Witness. And it'd be like creating this entire world of Witness, and just like you said, crumpling it up
Yeah,
after I've only got one book published. But say after 3-4 books, I'm like, I'm just gonna have to start again. That one isn't gonna work. You
right.
know what I mean?
There's so much put into it, so much of you, and we've talked about that too. God poured
Yeah.
himself into, like, with so much joy, poured himself into this creation, and I just think of how difficult that would be.
Well, I want to go.
Mhm,
I think that you're right. That to some extent, as of right now, from our perspective, the flood kind of stands alone. But I think that we're gonna spend a little time in the New Testament today, and I think we're gonna see in the way Peter talks about it.
mhm,
It's kind of the first bookend. You know how we've had we see that a fair amount in the Bible where
mhm,
God kind of bookends things. We even see it right here. If you look at the very last chapter or very last verse of Genesis 6,
mhm,
says Noah did everything God commanded him to do. If you look at verse 5 of chapter 7, it says Noah did everything God commanded him. So that's kind of bookending that 100-year period
mhm.
during which Noah built the ark.
Right,
And is theoretically warning people, warning his neighbors, that hey, this catastrophe's coming, and everybody laughs at him because people are coming asking him what he's building. They've never seen anything
right.
like this.
And I wonder, Todd, remind me, did it say that he was warning people? Because I feel like God told Noah, "It's just you guys. This is it."
Well, God did tell him that. It does talk about Noah preaching, and it kind of
Okay,
refers to Noah as a prophet at different places.
okay,
So there's a feeling that Noah let people know what was happening,
okay,
and that nobody really responded. You know what? Let's go there. We may come back to this. I'm gonna go to
okay.
first. Let me look here. Whether I want to go to First Peter or Second Peter first. Where's this is First Peter.
And while you get there, Todd, I want to clarify.
Go
When I
ahead,
said it's
Carrie.
a standalone story, I said I think that's how we view it because we're so, quote unquote, familiar with
Hmm.
Noah's Ark and the
No,
story.
I agree with you, and it
But
is
I,
somewhat
I'm
singular
but
in
I'm
how
glad
it's.
that you put it in the context of this creation. Like we just a couple of chapters ago read about God creating the entire world and the universe and creating man and woman and all of that. So I'm glad that you put it in the context properly so that we understand what a big deal this was.
Well, it was utter destruction except for
Mhm.
the remnant, and it was the
Mhm.
remnant of the faithful remnant of creation
Mhm.
that was the people. But God also saved the remnant of the animals,
Mhm.
and so I'm quite certain that none of us out there think that God saved the animals that He did because they believed. No, He just picked some animals. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
My point is that there's a fact to, or there's a lesson there that when we step out in faith,
Mhm.
we sometimes are saving more than ourselves, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Sure.
Within, maybe to think of it like this, within the salvation, think of like a man or a father, kind of the
Mhm.
patriarch of a family, comes to the Lord, and everything begins to change, and that ethos begins to spread, that Christian the Christian ethos begins to spread all through the family and even to
Mhm.
friends and things. And you get kind of this almost a wider salvation, even maybe in the kids that don't believe. There's still some of Jesus in them, if that makes sense. They're
Mhm.
getting some exposure and things. Do you know what
Mhm.
I mean? And so
Yes.
we see that even with Noah, that God's saving some of creation with him. It is going to be a new world that they embark on once they're
Mhm.
done, but it's going to have some of the old world still there. It's going to have some of the old animals and some of the,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? God's rebuilding on a foundation. He's not, even though
Mhm.
he says he wipes the slate clean from a world setting standpoint, that's true, but
Mhm.
not from a character standpoint. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, he's getting
Yeah.
rid of a lot of them, but so First Peter 3.
Okay.
Uh this is I'm starting in verse 19. He went, this is talking about Jesus.
Okay.
Um Probably talking about Jesus in that period between when he died and when he rose again.
Okay. Okay.
Because here's what it says. Jesus went and proclaimed God's salvation to earlier generations who ended up in the prison of judgment because they wouldn't listen. Even though God waited patiently all the days that Noah built his ship, only a few were saved then, 8 to be exact, saved from the water by the water. That I think is a really, like
That's
that
cool.
that's a good line.
Tell me tell me where you are again. Second Peter.
I'm in First Peter 3.
Oh, First Peter 3.
First Peter
19.
3:19. Then we're
Okay,
going to go to
thank you.
Second Peter. So, I love that line, saved from the water by the water. The same water that's destroying the world is preserving and saving Noah and his ark full of animals. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So he says, the waters of baptism do that for you, not by washing away dirt from your skin, but by presenting you through Jesus' resurrection before God with a clear conscience. Jesus has the last word on everything and everyone, from angels to armies. He's standing right alongside God, and what he says goes.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say that at least within Beers with Jesus, that last verse of First Peter 3,
Mhm.
that forms the foundation with which we approach the gospel, that Jesus has the last word on everything. That's one of the reasons you'll sometimes hear me go after the eternal conscious torment version of hell, is because that seems like Jesus doesn't have the last word to me. It seems like if all he does is punt people off into a fire forever, that's just not what I see with Jesus.
Mhm.
That's all. But take it for what it's worth. We've got other programs on that. But I think that's foundational. Jesus has the last word on everything and
Mhm.
everyone, from angels to armies. Paul also talks, this isn't Paul, this is Peter. Paul talks about it. He says that Jesus rules until he puts all his enemies under his feet. Each one in turn. He talks about in different ages, Jesus is taking different pieces of the world and the enemy and putting them under his feet, reigning over them. The Bible says every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord. But not necessarily all at the same time, in different phases, the first fruits and then
Mhm.
those who come after. So, okay. So Peter really likes Noah. Peter only wrote 2 short books in the New Testament.
Mhm.
Probably Mark, which we went through
They are short.
first in
Mhm.
Beers with Jesus, which is also the shortest gospel. That's probably Peter's transcribed words to Mark. So you could give
Oh,
Peter
that's right.
probably some
Thank you for
credit for Mark.
reminding me. Mhm.
But it's also one of the shortest gospels. So Peter, the fisherman, felt like brevity was the soul of wit, I think we could say. Okay, now I'm going to go to Second Peter 3. We're going
Okay.
to, like I said, we're going to spend a little time because I think Peter's using this flood idea to frame some things. So we talked about how much faith it took for Noah to
Mhm.
spend 100 years building the ark,
Right.
right? Like that was faith. He had to
Yeah, that
believe something
that
was
faith and that level of obedience is staggering.
maybe not so much faith to stay in the ark and hold on as you're rolling around during the flood. Like that's the storm, right?
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, he had to have faith that God was gonna bring him through, of course.
Right.
And you know, it occurred to me this week reading this. Noah didn't have to get, even after he built it, Noah didn't have to get on that ark.
Okay.
But every step of faith we take,
Mhm.
they kind of build on each other. You know what I mean? So it just makes
Yeah.
the next step easier. So of course Noah's going to get on the ark, but he didn't have to. It's still a step of faith. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Right.
Every step along the way, it just got to the point where, like Enoch, he's walking with God. And so,
Mhm.
I mean, of course he's going to do that because God told him to do that. And Noah does everything God commands him. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
But he gets there one decision at a time, just like we do. One day,
Mhm.
one day at a time, one decision at a time. And still probably wakes up in the morning, goes out and looks at this half-built ark and thinks, I don't know about all this.
I
I
know. I
don't,
can't imagine that
maybe I
during the
better have some
building
coffee.
process. During the building process, I can't imagine the doubts. Now, I think you wouldn't be doubting much once you saw those animals, like,
Once
start
the clouds start
showing up.
rolling.
Well, I think when you
Yeah,
saw the
the
animals show
animals.
up, you'd be like, "Okay, yeah, God has a hand in this, like, I'm not crazy." But
Yeah, it's like that final week, everybody starts showing up.
yeah. But that's a long time to be building, to be going through that process. Just I mean, just like us, daily challenges to continue to do God's will, to be clear on what it is, to be obedient, you know.
Also, if we think about the fact that obviously people know Noah, right? I mean,
People what?
no, people know Noah at the time.
Mhm.
It's not like he's living in
Yes.
isolation. And we
Mhm.
assume the world wasn't as far flung probably in those 1600 years between Eden and the flood
Mhm.
as it is now, which is why people theorize about local floods and things, that maybe that's what this is talking about.
Sure.
But my point is, think of all the ridicule and the mocking that Noah faced as he's building this ark.
Mhm.
But if you're going to think about that, you got to think about on the other end, because God shut the door. It says that in Genesis 7 that we read. It says that
Mhm.
everybody enters. Noah
Mhm.
finally goes in, and Shem, Ham, and Japheth and their wives, they all go in after the animals, and
Mhm.
it's time. And when it's time, God shuts the door. This wasn't something that they shut the door on. God sealed them in.
Yep.
They weren't going to come out until God tells them to come out, is the point.
Yeah.
What God seals, God keeps, right?
Mhm.
But imagine, as this flood starts, where all the people that mocked, that are getting ready to die, that made fun of Noah, where do you reckon they're going as soon as they're ankle deep? I reckon they're right on the other side of the ark, and I bet you get to listen to their screams while they die.
Yeah, that sucks.
That's kind of rough.
It is
That's a
rough.
rough way to start a real rough ride that Noah and the animals are about to be on.
Man,
Like,
I
just
know.
imagine the chaos taking place outside of the ark. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Be
Because
awful.
the ark's their only shot. Now, maybe it all happened so fast. We've seen, even the past year or two, we watched that, was it Hurricane Helene in North Carolina? But we've just seen what flash floods get in, just
Right.
how fast a ton of water can just wipe out everything. So maybe they didn't have that much time, but I got a feeling a few of them must have made it over. You know what I mean? So
Yes, I can't imagine a few nearby neighbors didn't come and bang on the hull of the ark,
yeah, and then
hoping they'd have a chance to get
imagine
in.
that as you're rising up. I can't remember. What's his name? Russell Crowe did a Noah movie, but it
It was
wasn't that great of a
horrible.
movie, and
It
I
was the
don't remember
worst.
that part. I don't even remember the movie. It was so bad.
I
I can't.
remember I remember we almost walked out. It was
It
so
was
awful,
real
but
bad.
yeah.
Okay, well, I just wanted to touch on that
Okay.
because now we're going to go to
Yeah. Second Peter 3.
Second Peter 2 and then 3. Okay,
Okay.
so in Second Peter 2, uh, Peter's talking about lying prophets and lying religious teachers that are going to sneak into the congregation in the church, and they're going to lead a bunch of people astray.
Oh, okay.
He says they'll smuggle in destructive divisions, pitting you against one another. They'll put themselves on a fast downhill slide to
Mm,
destruction, but not before they recruit a crowd of mixed up followers who can't tell right from wrong. And so this is in the church he's talking about.
mhm.
They give the way of truth a bad name. They're only out for themselves. They'll say anything that sounds good to exploit you. They won't. Okay, so that's this. He's describing these false teachers. And
Mhm.
then Peter says they won't, of course, get by with it. They'll come to a bad end. For God has never just stood by and let that kind of thing go on. God didn't let the rebel angels off the hook, but jailed them in hell till judgment day. That's
Mm.
the reference to the
Ah,
watchers in the book of Enoch that we talked about a few weeks ago.
okay.
Because it's Jude and Peter both reference that, and it's a non-biblical book, the book of Enoch, where that kind of comes from. So clearly
Mhm.
it held some weight. But those were those angels who came down and then had kids with humans, and the interbreeding and the Nephilim and the whole thing. That's what he's talking about. God didn't let the rebel angels off. Then he says, neither did he let the ancient ungodly world off. He
Mhm.
wiped it out with a flood, rescuing only 8 people. Noah, the sole voice of righteousness, was among them. And then I'm going to skip. He talks about Sodom and Gomorrah a lot.
Okay.
And then verse 9, he says, so God knows how to rescue the godly from evil trials, and he knows how to hold the feet of the wicked to the fire until judgment day.
Got it.
So he's taking this idea of judgment day, and he's saying this is what happened in the days of Noah,
Mhm.
and this is coming. This is what's going to happen to these people who come into the flock and deceive and
Mhm.
antichrist and things like that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That they've got a judgment that's waiting for them. So then in 2 Peter 3,
Mhm.
verse 3. First off, you need to know that in the last days mockers are going to have a heyday.
Hmm.
That sounds kind of like what Noah dealt with. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mhm.
Reducing everything to the level of their petty feelings, they'll mock. So what's happened to the promise of his coming? Our ancestors are dead and buried, and everything's going on just as it has from the first day of creation. Nothing's changed.
Mm.
This is probably the exact same thing that people said to Noah. What do you mean? You've been saying this for 50 years. You got it all. You got a big wooden box almost built. And
Mhm.
from what I can see, the weather just looks just like it has all the rest of my 400 years of life.
Mhm.
So he's making this comparison, and it's like spot on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's saying that in the last days they're going to be saying the same thing. Whatever. There's not a real judgment coming.
Yikes.
So
That's
then
a
we
little
get.
scary. That's, like, scary to imagine now because that's what would happen today.
Oh yeah, it. We probably might say it is happening.
Sure, it could be.
You
Like,
know what I
it
mean?
could be. There are people who think we're so close, like, we're so close to it. And then there are people who, like, laugh that off, and
Right.
I think I don't know. I don't like to live in fear every day, but dismiss I don't like to dismiss
Well, I
that
don't
stuff
think
completely
that's a fair
and
point. I don't think Noah lived in fear every day.
mm-mm.
So
Hopefully
you
not.
you can know of an impending judgment
Mhm.
and trust. Now Noah trusted that God had made a way for him and his family because he'd been walking with God for 500 years, and
Right.
God hadn't failed him, and God had been faithful and proved himself faithful, and Noah believed God.
Mhm.
That's what, the whole hall of faith in Hebrews 11,
Right.
which that has a little section on Noah too. But okay, let's go into
Okay.
1 Peter 3:5. Um, hold on. So they're mocking our
Uh-huh.
ancestors. Everything's happened. Then it says they conveniently forget that long ago all the galaxies and this very planet were brought into existence out of watery chaos by God's word. Then God's word brought the chaos back in a flood
Mm.
that destroyed the world. The current galaxies and Earth are fuel for the final fire. God is poised and ready to speak his word again, ready to give the signal for the judgment and destruction for the desecrating skeptics. So that's that kind of final end times judgment that he's talking about.
Mhm.
And then he says, don't overlook the obvious here, friends. With God, one day is as good as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. God isn't late with his promise as some measure lateness. He is restraining himself on account of you. holding back the end because he doesn't want anyone lost. He's giving everyone space and time to change. I really like that line.
I like that too.
I thought about it. I thought, I bet it wouldn't take Noah and his 3 sons 100 years to build that ark. I mean, I understand this is an undertaking. I built a lot of
Mm-hmm.
houses, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's 100 years undertaking, even if you got to cut down the trees and peel them and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's not 100 years. That might
Probably.
be a good 20 or 30.
Right.
But the point is that God's holding off a lot longer than that,
Mm-hmm.
even after he's already told Noah, listen, I'm going to wipe this whole thing clean. Peter tells us here he's holding back because he was hoping to win a few more, even back then. And that it's the exact same right now.
Mm-hmm.
That we think we can mock God and we think we can say, oh, this will never happen and that'll never happen. But you're misreading God's patience for God's indulgence. Does that make sense?
Okay. Sure.
God isn't indulging sin,
Okay.
meaning that there's not ever going to be any consequences.
Okay.
He's remaining patient to try to rescue as many people through
Mm-hmm.
his own sacrifice from those consequences as he can.
He's waiting to rescue everyone.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
it says,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, and that's what we
He's
believe.
giving everyone space and
Mm-hmm.
time to change.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a message in there
Yeah.
that at least if the flood's the model, if the flood's
Mm-hmm.
the first bookend,
Mm-hmm.
that everyone isn't going to be. But that God's not going to wait forever. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
He goes on, he says, don't overlook the obvious here, friends. Well, we said that, we read that. He's given everybody space and time to change. So then verse
Uh-huh.
10, but when the day of God's judgment does come, it will be unannounced like a thief. The sky will collapse with a thunderous bang,
Mm-hmm.
everything disintegrating in a raging inferno. Earth and all its works exposed to the scrutiny of judgment. See, I think that's a good picture of that. The revelation, the end time, the lake of fire idea
Mm-hmm.
of people of lives, our work on earth being passed through this fire, this fiery judgment, and what survives on the other side. Because he says, since everything here today might well be gone tomorrow, do you see how essential it is to live a holy life? Daily expect the day of God, eager for its arrival. So they're not living in fear. They're
Yeah.
anxious
Right.
because they know the one coming back. And then he ends with this, which I think is just such a great picture.
Okay.
He says the galaxies will burn up and the elements melt down that day. That sounds like the entire world's gone to me,
It
right?
does. Mm-hmm.
But we'll hardly notice. We'll be looking the other way, ready for the promised new heavens and the promised new earth, all landscaped with righteousness.
Wow.
Like that picture of those in Christ will barely notice the world melting out from underneath them because they're so captivated by Jesus.
Wow. Well, I hope that's how we are. It's funny too. It's funny that Peter, so it's funny to hear Peter say this because remember, like when we were reading the Gospel of Mark and Acts,
Mhm.
I mean, he wavers. His faith doesn't waver, but just his understanding and his maturity,
Oh, sure.
and
Because
so it's
he would jump out. Like he wanted
right.
things sooner than he was ready for them, but he wanted them at
Right.
least.
Right. He was kind of impulsive.
Yeah.
Um But it's interesting to hear him say this because I just feel like I don't know how long after this is. When did you say you think this was? This was like you think
When what?
when he wrote this?
Peter?
When do we don't know.
He's probably 20 years at least after Christ's ascension,
Okay.
something
So
like that.
maybe he'd matured by then, but I
I
feel
mean,
like
the early church is going, and
mhm,
I don't know for sure. I think Peter might have been in Rome when he wrote these, but I'm not positive. I didn't look
okay.
it up. Sorry, guys, I didn't study well enough.
And sorry, I'm just throwing a question at you, but I was just curious like how spiritually mature, how faithful and mature is he in this way at this time
Oh,
when
I
he
think
wrote
he's
this?
at this
Because
point. I mean, you saw the transition, how fast that went in Acts. Remember, because
Mhm.
he denied the Lord.
Mhm.
Jesus is going to be crucified. He tells Peter, "You're going to deny me 3 times before the cock crows tomorrow morning, before this
Right.
night is done." Peter says, "I'll never do that. I'll die
Right.
before I do that."
Right, of
And
course.
then, of course, he does it. And then right after that, a day later, his savior, his best friend, the one he's walked with, is hanging on a tree
Mhm.
in shame and executed like a common criminal in Rome. And Peter at that point has to think his entire world is over.
Mhm.
I mean, they left
Right.
everything for Jesus.
Mhm.
He was going to be the one who was going to restore Israel. That's they believed it. They asked him that after he rises, after he rises. Even so,
Right. Yeah, like, is it happening now?
right. And so I think that that transition in Peter, when after Jesus is risen,
Mhm.
and then there's a few stories after we know he bopped around. He was on earth in Jerusalem for 40
Mhm.
days, and he was teaching
Mhm.
people, and he was appearing to him on the road to Emmaus and all over the place. He also appeared to him on the beach and had breakfast with him. And he asked Peter 3 times, "Do you love me?" And Peter says, "Of course you know I love you." Peter's getting frustrated by the end. And and he says, "Feed my sheep," every time. But it's almost like God's redeeming those 3 denials. And
Right.
once Peter passes through that, and once Pentecost happens, I mean, I think it's off to the races for Peter.
Okay.
He's pulling people, the lame will walk, he's providing,
Mhm.
making miracles, casting demons out. And yeah, I think that that it's that Peter becomes a pope. Well, according to the Roman Catholic Church, Peter becomes the pope, but he
Right.
becomes the pillar, one of the pillars of
The
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 the early
early
church.
church.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine this happening now. If everything like we're on fire outside, the planets are melting, the earth is like, in flame. I mean, I I hope I hope that I would not be even noticing, that I would just be like, "Lord, is this you? Are you coming? Are you
I think
coming
what
for
it
us?" But
speaks to isn't our
yeah.
faith at that point.
Mhm.
I think what Peter's trying to communicate to us is the overwhelming beauty, grandeur, and glory of Jesus.
Mhm.
That it's just we just won't be able to look away. We aren't even
Right.
noticing it. It's not that there's no place for fear. It's not this, that, and the other. It's just that Jesus,
Mhm.
in his appearing finally after all this
Right.
time,
Right.
it's so we just can't look away. Is the picture I get. And yeah, I hope
Right.
that.
Yeah. If Jesus is out there in the middle of the destruction.
Well, that's kind of the picture is
Right.
Jesus. That's
Okay.
his arrival.
Well,
And
I can
once
imagine
the
that.
author steps on the stage, the play is over. At least that part of it, right?
Yeah.
So, I just
The earthly
enjoyed. and
portion.
and then Matthew,
Mhm.
quick, I think it's Matthew 24. Peter reference, or not Peter, Jesus references the flood quick. Matthew 24:37, and he says, let me find it quick. That the arrival of the Son of Man, he's talking about the same thing. This is where Peter got this from, guys.
Okay.
Peter Peter got all his wisdom from Jesus. So, if you're wondering, the arrival of the Son of Man will take place in times like Noah's. Before the great flood, everyone was carrying on as usual, having a good time right up until the day Noah boarded the ark. They knew nothing until the flood hit and swept everything away. The Son of Man's arrival will be like that. 2 men will be working in the field, one will be taken, one left behind. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken, one left behind. So stay awake, alert. You have no idea what day your master will show up. But you do know this. You know that if the homeowner had known what time of the night the burglar would arrive, he would have been there with his dogs to prevent the break in. Be vigilant just like that. You have no idea when the Son of Man is going to show up. So I don't think it's a picture of waiting around in fear, but I think it's a picture of being at your post. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
When the skies are rolled up like a scroll and it's all going to take place in the twinkling of an eye, and all of a sudden everything's over, when Jesus comes back, where does he find you? Does he find us at our post? Does he find us doing about the business that he put us here to do?
Mm-hmm.
The cats may never get fed that night. The Bible study may never be had. Mass
Mm-hmm.
may never be gone to again, but we were found at our post. Do you know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
found about the business that God has given you to do. And that was true in Noah. I mean, it's obvious with Noah, build the ark. That was the business he was given to do. And Noah did it. And because he faithfully did it, he because he believed God, he was saved and his family was saved. And he crossed over after a storm. And listen, I'm not trying to minimize the storm. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
know that. I mean, you can picture how much fun that would be on a boat full of animals.
Oh my gosh.
cleaning
Well,
cleaning up after them, feeding them. You know what I mean? You can
right.
picture it's not
Yeah.
heaven, rocking and rolling.
Sure. I was gonna say the water could even be smooth. It doesn't matter, just the sheer volume of it. 20
Right.
feet above the highest mountain peak. It's like,
And wondering, and this is, I think, how a lot of us, I know how I feel when I'm in the
mm-hmm.
middle of a storm, is it's not necessarily that I need the faith to hold on. I mean, I'm holding on regardless. I don't seem to have
Mm-hmm.
much choice except to hold on.
Right.
But it is hard. You have to have faith to believe that God's on the other side of it, because
Mm-hmm.
they're watching, theoretically, they're watching the world they knew disappear.
Yes.
And a lot of us, I understand it's not exactly like the flood, but we face floods in our own lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we watch the world as we have always known it, or as we've known it for 20 years or 30 years or however long.
Mm-hmm.
We watch life, troubles, the storm start to overtake that. And we watch things just start to fall away. And we know however we come out on the other side, our world's not going to look the same. So there is
Mm.
faith to believe that once that that's okay because God's on the other side, right? And and that destructive part is part of the new creation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So as you go through storms in life, could be health storms,
Mm-hmm.
financial, anything, family, whatever.
Right.
People die, people get sick, all kinds of things. People move, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But all the different things that happen, frequently God's stripping things down in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be real traumatic.
Right.
So what's the answer? Well, maybe to look for Jesus, I guess, like Peter said. Maybe we don't notice so much if we can keep our eyes focused on him.
Yes, that is very no, it's a great way of putting it. It's true because if you keep your focus, there's only so much you can control.
Right.
If you lose your job,
And in
you know,
storms, you can't control anything largely,
no.
usually.
Mm-mm. Yeah, if you lose a loved one, if you lose a job, those kinds of things. Yeah, if you just stay faithful, um, you can at least be at peace through it. You can at least be floating on top of that flood water
Yeah.
instead of thrashing underneath it,
Instead of being lost to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Jesus can carry your family to the other side of
mhm,
whatever storm he puts you in. With whatever company he actually puts in with the storm with you, even if it's a boat full of
mhm.
animals.
Yeah, true.
But
We haven't seen the Earth's destruction, but I know Todd and I both can say that that's very true.
yeah,
That
and that
God
he's
can
faithful.
take you. Mhm.
And I think, and that he's given everybody, especially you, and not especially you, Carrie. I mean,
Mhm.
especially you,
I know. I was
person
like,
listening,
yes, someone
especially
listening.
me.
Mhm.
It's a personal call, is my point.
It
When
is.
when you read that, and when it says God is giving everyone space and time to change, the way to
Mhm.
read that is God's given me space and time to change.
Mhm.
But also on the other end of that, read, that's not endless. God's
Right.
patience doesn't last forever.
Mhm.
Like, the storm is coming. Now
Yeah. Get
you
your
can
act together.
decide to believe it or not believe it, but
Mhm.
that's actually what your salvation in the storm is going to end up being based on, is whether you believe it or not.
Mhm.
Because there's only one place to look for salvation. In that day, when the Son of Man comes, just like in the flood, there was
Mhm.
one shot. There was one way of salvation, of moving from
Mm.
the old world through the watery chaos to the next, to the new world.
Mhm.
It was the ark, and that's Jesus. We have one way. The cross is the way
Mm.
over the chaos
Well
from
said.
the old world to the new. And God's given you, He's given me, He's given all of us space and time to change. But that doesn't last forever. It's time to seek God, I think,
Mhm.
is the answer. You know,
Right.
seek Him while He may be found.
Seek him.
That
Even yeah.
implies that there's a time He won't. So, anyway,
Mm.
what do you think, Carrie?
I think it's good. I think it's good advice. And I was gonna add, and seek him as you are.
Yeah.
Just as you are.
Just come
ASAP.
as you are, run to Him.
Mhm. Yep.
Pretend you're already ankle deep and the
Yeah.
water's rising fast.
Actually, I think we actually are.
It's a
Don't
Johnny
you?
Cash song, 3 feet high and rising.
Oh, is that there you go. Johnny Cash.
So,
Nice,
yeah.
good. Yeah.
No, I think you're right.
I, appreciate all your other references. Thank you.
All right.
I don't think I've
You've
ever read the books of Peter, like,
Yeah,
I don't think so. I know I've seen quotes from them, but I just don't feel like I've ever studied them or anything like that, so it's
yeah.
interesting.
Well, with this and it really fit with the, because
Mhm.
Peter really he uses so much of that Noah story as
Mhm.
as a type of what we're heading toward, I guess you could say.
Right.
If that makes sense, of
Yeah.
what the arrival of the Son of Man is going to be like. And you won't be looking for it, but be at your post. Be aware. You know what I mean? We always,
Yep.
C.S. Lewis makes the comparison. He says a man of 70 or 75 shouldn't always be worried about his death, but he
Mhm.
should always take it into account. If he's entering into a business deal, or if he's getting a loan, or he's planning, or
Okay.
whatever, it's something, the shortness of life and his place in it is something he should always take into account. We should be the same with Jesus, or with the end, I guess, with the fact that we're approaching a final judgment, and that at that final judgment, the other thing I'm going to steal from C.S. Lewis is he says
Mhm.
maybe it helps to think of judgment not so much as a punishment, but as a judgment from the standpoint of this is what is. So when we stand before God and God passes judgment on what we are, we'll
Mhm.
know that He's right. There won't be any arguing with Him at that point. We'll know that His judgment on us and what
Mhm.
we are and what we've been and what we've done is absolutely right. And that in the light of that judgment, can we make decisions so that the light, in the light of that judgment, will look better. You know what I mean? That our actions and our things, that we're always taking it into account.
Mhm.
Again, not from a fear standpoint, though. I don't think that's what it's for. I think
No,
it's
it's just
just,
a holding yourself, like, being honest with
it's a
yourself and
readiness, like it's gonna happen. That's part
Mhm.
of it, because I think if we don't really believe it.
Right, it's an acceptance, yeah, it's an acceptance of its reality.
And how do
Yeah.
you keep it always in front of you?
Mhm.
Well, I think it's the daily stuff. I think
Mhm.
it's the daily reading of the Bible, the daily
Mhm.
praying, the daily touch base with Christ, your daily, if you're a Catholic, rosary, whatever, but the daily
Well,
things,
yeah,
the stuff that's part of our everyday life,
right.
that always just gives us a gentle reminder that this isn't it, you know?
And you know what? If you're praying every day, I mean, that's a pretty decent post to
It's a pretty good post to be at.
be at. Yeah. So,
So, yeah.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, listen,
Thanks, Todd.
check out News Hour if you haven't. That's on
Mhm.
Tuesdays. Um, and this week's was good. I'm trying to remember what it was, because it was like a day ago, and my whole
Well,
weekend
I will
is
say
like,
this, we tried to do a tight hour and it's got like a
that's
bonus
how y'all
27 minutes.
It was fabulous, though, if I remember
It was. We had a lot to say,
right.
a lot to cover. It's not like we rambled, but
So
we had a lot of
anyway, check out news.
fun.
Thank you. Follow us on Beers. Send some clips to your friends if you like it. We're gonna we put out clips every week.
Mhm.
So yeah, we appreciate everybody's support. Like us, follow us, all that stuff. Go to toddsworld.net, grab a couple books, because I'm telling you, Witness is just a fabulous story.
It's so good.
The memoir is good if you want. Memoir is not fiction. But
No, the memoir is very good.
yeah,
And
so
read
Leaves
Witness,
the Blue Way.
I'm bugging Todd to write number 2, so
We're working on it. So, all
yeah.
right, guys, we will. Well, we won't be back next week. We're taking next week off, but we'll be back
Mhm.
the week after. So, thank you
Cool.
for joining us. Thanks,
Yeah.
Carrie.
Thank you. We'll
From
see them then.
next when we come back in 2 weeks, we're going to be
Woo!
stepping off into a new world. We'll see
Yes.
what it's all about. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Carrie.
Thanks.